Beckles starting already on our Great American panel. Former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, Fox News contributor, USA Today columnist, co-host. By the way, I am very fond of the show, The Five, every afternoon here on Fox. He is a radio host and a columnist for FoxNews.com and blogs at The Cowboy Libertarian. Patrick Doranson is with us, and she, a fellow with Project 21, Fox News contributor. Deneen Borelli is back. Good to see you. Tax the rich, tax the rich, tax the rich. Obama from today.
These would be among the biggest cuts in spending in our history, but they've got to be part of a larger plan that's balanced. A plan that asks the most fortunate among us to pay their fair share just like everybody else. I will veto any bill that changes benefits for those who rely on Medicare but does not raise serious revenues by asking the wealthiest Americans or biggest corporations to pay their fair share.
Deneen. Sorry.
Sean.
All right. Look, 10% pay 70% of the bill, half don't pay anything. Fair share, fair share. He's got us $4 trillion in new debt. He's going to kill the economy if that ever became.
No, he is killing the economy, and this is class warfare, and his policies have failed. That is obvious as well. So what he's doing is pitting one class of Americans against another, and that is not solving the problem.
How does this help him with the middle ground that he's losing in the country in the polls?
I don't think it's going to help him one bit. I'll tell you, Sean, it reminds me of what Russell Long used to say. You know, don't tax you, don't tax me. Tax that fella behind the tree. We're always looking for somebody else to put the money in to fund this government. I think the American people are going to see this for what it is. And quite frankly, the hardworking people out there that I talk to on my radio show, they know in the end that they're going to be the ones who are going to be paying these bills.
Think you could run that clip a few more times?
Oh.
Okay, that's really interesting. I'm very fascinated by it. Let me make a couple things clear here about class warfare. Class warfare, by your definition here, is we're talking about 2% of the American people versus 98%. That's not class warfare, one. Two, when you say 46% of the American people don't pay taxes.
Well, 40, 50.
50, fine. 50, let's make it 60. They pay payroll taxes, which are a larger percentage.
They don't pay federal income tax.
Excuse me.
They get that money back.
Wait a second. Payroll tax is a cut. It's more out of their income than certainly out of your income. What you pay for maybe not in your situation, it's decidedly different than most. But in my case, for example, I pay a higher percent. I pay a lower percentage than a lot of these people. What are you smiling about?
Because you're so full of crap. It's
well, you know what? What do you expect? I mean, I've been listening to this crap all day long. I mean, you tax me. Look, at some point, they got to stop having a free ride.
Listen, how much is enough?
I'm for a flat tax. I happen to be for a flat tax.
How much is enough of people's income? How much can any American know in a free society that they can keep? I think it ought to be 25% can go to the government, and we ought to be able to keep 75%.
We need more skin in the game. As you said, there are over, what, 45% of Americans that are not paying federal income taxes. So a flat tax, for example, would cover all of the bases.
You ever get a job from a poor person, Beckel?
No, I've never had a job, so I really don't know. No, I worked at the Peace Corps. That was a poor job. Listen.
You never got a job from a poor person.
All right, listen, I mowed lawns of people, you know, like your house, for example. It would take a long time to mow it. But look, the point is this. You keep talking about this class war. Nobody has done better in this country the last 30 years than rich people. And I don't think they've paid their fair share. It's about time they start to pay their fair share.
Rich when you have
Sean,
people who are not paying federal income taxes.
Sean, you know what the class warfare? You know what the class warfare is in this country? It's the political war. It's the political class, the permanent political class that is sitting in Washington D.C. That's the warfare. They're the ones who've been waging war on the American people by messing things up, overspending for at least 50 years.
You're right. He's touching it. The anger has shifted in this country.
You bet.
And all the promises of Obama and all their reckless spending, people now, they're not getting mad at the oil companies. They get mad at Obama. They're getting mad at the Democrats for misappropriating funds. So
okay, the most important question, though, for this period, where do I get a hat like that?
I can get you.
I gotta
okay,
go.
good.
We'll take a break.
The guy makes mine.
Fine.
For the Great American Panel coming up right after the break. All right, we continue now with our Great American Panel. Look, the president poll came out today. He has the lowest number of liberal support in his presidency, now only 68%, 39% approval rate with the American people. Emmanuel Cleaver said, quote, if Bill Clinton had been in the White House and had failed to address this problem, we'd be marching on the White House. There's a less volatile reaction in the CBC because nobody wants to do anything that would empower the people who hate the president. James Carville, You've got Mark Penn. You've got Senate Democrats saying no to Obama's so-called jobs bill. It seems like defections are en masse among the Democratic Party. What's happening?
And instead of them arguing what's not working, now they're going to play the race card, because that is a racist comment as far as I'm concerned. If that was a white conservative in the White House,
or Democrat, they're even saying Bill Clinton.
Absolutely. So they would be screaming racism because they're doing policies that are harming black Americans, harming all Americans.
Why didn't the president, when the Congressman Andre Carson, why did
silence,
when he
right?
when he said that you know, Tea Party members want black people hanging from trees in America? Why didn't the president come out and say, stop it? Instead, his answer was, we're not going to be the speech police.
That is a good question. Why didn't he? Well, you didn't hear anything from Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, not that you would, but you didn't hear anything from the other Congressional Black Caucus members either. Only Representative West. That was it. But for Obama to not make a comment about it, I think he should have said something.
Missed opportunity, right?
Yes.
Absolutely, it's a missed opportunity. But you know something? That speech he gave today, that campaign speech from the Rose Garden, I think that's going to soothe a lot of ruffled feathers in the liberal wing of the Democratic Party.
Yeah, wait a minute. I think you're right. I think this was a speech to get back the base, which has been abandoning him, but it doesn't do anything to help him with independence.
You know, that's an amazing analysis on your guys' part, because that's exactly right. I mean, what the speech was, you think that he thinks for a minute he's going to get anything through this Congress?
No.
No. Right? So if you're going to get something out there as a message, you're going to get it out to your base, which has to be rallied. These people are not going to go to a bunch of right-wing Republicans next year, but he needs to get them back before he can work on independence. And the other thing I would say...
thinking calmly and rationally. Let me ask you this question. Serious
question. Why I'm speaking calmly and rationally?
No, serious
question. Welcome into the arena.
Serious question. All right. The only reason he won is because he had independence. He's lost them in droves. That speech is not going to get back the independence.
No, it's not. But
that voted for him.
You know what is going to get him back is that eventually you have to run against somebody, and if that somebody is Rick Perry, or as I call him, the Lone Ranger of the West, and people start to see how far. Excuse me, with all due respect to your hat.
You mean the guy that created half the jobs in the last couple of years?
The guy that took over governor was 4.2% unemployment. Now it's 8.4%. But leaving that aside, the guy is so right-wing that it's going to drive independence back to Obama. I'm telling you right now, I'll wager you $5,000.
We already have a $5,000 bet.
We do. Let's have another $5,000 bet.
All right.
Okay.
Deneen.
There's a lot of concern that's going on in the White House. Obama's policies are killing our economy. Our unemployment is through the roof. In the black community, what about his energy policy? It's a regressive policy. It's harming those he claims that he wants to help.
The Congress
he has a war on fossil fuels.
But
and
John,
he's got the EPA that is pushing his agenda for higher electricity prices.
Right, left, whatever. You know what we got a problem in this country? Everybody talks about the economic crisis. We've got a confidence crisis. In 2000, well, yeah, it's a malaise. In 2008, Obama ran on hope and change. That's a nice slogan.
Didn't he seem depressed today? He seemed like the wind was out of his sails.
He seemed awful mad, but you know something? Hope and change is one thing, but faith and trust go with that. People don't have faith in the elected leaders, and they don't have any trust in the institutions that are supposed to make this country run.
Particularly the Congress of the United States, and particularly the Republicans. I'll tell you, get an elected Republican president, Republican Senate, and Salmon XLs are going to plummet in America. They are the most boring, unimaginative, right-wing people I've ever seen, and they have nothing to offer. If you talk about plans, what plans has Obama done to hurt the economy?
Wait a second, Bob. The president today was talking about he's going to cut $4 trillion.
Yeah.
That's $400 billion over a 10-year period. That is chicken feed when you're adding to the deficit every year.
Chicken feed?
Chicken feed.
You know, that's the problem with you guys with cowboy hats. You always have to use the animal analogy.
Well, I got to tell you something.
You know,
you're going to cut $400 billion out of a budget that's so huge, and you're adding to that debt every year, and he's never talking about it.
You know, it's a good thing you're not from Texas, because in Texas, men are men and sheep are afraid. Go ahead.